بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Interpretation of the Holy Quran.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. With the grace of Allah, we began to have a concise interpretation of Quran. We reached to chapter Ale-Imran, the third chapter of Quran, which is revealed in Medina. It has 200 verses. Please listen to verse 13.
قد كان لكم آية في فئتين التقتا فئة تقاتل في سبيل الله وأخرى كافرة يرونهم مثليهم رأي العين والله يؤيد بنصره من يشاء إن في ذلك لعبرة لأولي الأبصار.
There was certainly a sign for you in the two hosts that met, one host fighting in the way of Allah and the other faceless, who saw them visibly twice as many. وَاللَّهُ يُؤَيِّدُ بِنَصْرِهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لِعِبْرَةً لِأُولِي الْأَبْصَارِ. And Allah strengthens with His aid whom He pleases. Most surely there is a lesson in these for those who have sight. In previous section we talked about this verse. After talking regarding to the Muslims who had a problem in the war and who were defeated in the war, Allah informed them in previous verse 12, that very soon you are going to win and you are going to achieve victory and attain victory. The previous verse we said that it was regarding to the Uhud, that the Muslims were broken, they lost the war. And then Allah told them that soon you are going to win, and remember that in previous wars you gain a lot. Allah helped you a lot. We said that this verse, it means verse 13 that I'm going to talk about it, Allah reminds them the previous war which happened in the second year of Hijrah. It was the holy war of Badr. In holy war of Badr, Muslims won, and Allah says in this verse to remind them that قَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ آيَةٌ فِي فِئَتَيْنِ الْتَقَتَا. There was a sign for you in the other holy war that there were two groups of people. One group, they were those who are fighting only because of Allah with pure intention, and the other one who were fighting and while they were disbelievers, faceless. Allah says that you were helped in such a way that يَرَوْنَهُمْ مِثْلَيْهِمْ رَأْيَ الْعَيْنِ. Disbelievers saw you and they look at you, they saw you as a twice as many. You were, for example, about 313 and they saw you double, twice. And it was a miracle of Allah, and Allah helped them in such a way. وَاللَّهُ يُؤَيِّدُ بِنَصْرِهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Whomever Allah pleases, He is going to help them. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لِعِبْرَةً لِأُولِي الْأَبْصَارِ. For whoever wants to understand, he can take a lesson from such a event, such a war, that you didn't have a lot of power. But because you had a good intention and you were working for Allah, Allah helped you. Allah helps whomever He wants. It means nobody can force Allah to help somebody or to love somebody or want something. Allah says, whomever work for me with pure intention and try to obey, I'm going to help him. Regarding to the war of Badr, in chapter Anfal, verse 9 and 10, also Allah points out to the event and says that what happened. Allah says in that chapter Anfal, verse 9, استستغيثون ربكم فاستجاب لكم أني ممدكم بألف من الملائكة مردفين. Allah says, remember when you sought aid, you asked help, you pray and seek help from Allah, from your Lord. So He answered you, Allah answered you, فَاسْتَجَابَ لَكُمْ أَنِّي مُمِدُّكُمْ, I will assist you with 1,000 of the angels following one another. Do you remember the time that you didn't have good situation, you were losing, you had in a real problems because enemy had a lot of powers, a lot of tools, and their population were much more than you. And you asked Allah to help you, and you had a good intention, and Allah helped you. مُمِدُّكُمْ بِأَلْفٍ مِّنَ الْمَلَائِكَةِ مُرْدِفِينَ. Allah helped you by 1,000 angels who were coming down from the heavens one after another. Murdifin, it means following one another. Then Allah says in the same, after the same chapter, verse 10, وَمَا جَعَلَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بُشْرَى وَلِتَطْمَئِنَّ بِهِ قُلُوبُكُمْ. And why Allah has sent them? Allah says, only gave it as a good news and that your hearts might be at ease. Allah wanted to give a peace and tranquility to you. Allah wanted to tell you that you should not be worried. You are going to win. وَلِتَطْمَئِنَّ بِهِ قُلُوبُكُمْ, until your heart will be in peace. وَمَا النَّصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. And you should know that the victory is from Allah, is not from yourself. If you gain something, don't be proud of yourself and don't think that you have done it. Allah says, I have done it. Inna Allah azizun hakim. Surely Allah is mighty, wise. So, although in the holy war of Uhud, Muslims lost, but Allah had a prediction regarding to their future and said, if you have a good intention and you work very hard, be sure that Allah is going to help you and you are going to win the enemy as you won in previous one. It means the holy war of Uhud. There are a few messages that we can get from this verse. One, when Allah wants to talk about the holy war of Badr and how Allah helped the Muslims, Allah says you were two groups. One group, تُقَاتِلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. They were fighting in the way of Allah. They wanted to support Allah's idea, Allah's messenger, Islamic sciences. Because of that, Allah helped them. Those people who have such an intention, it means only they want to help their religion with pure intention and they try to obey Allah. Allah says, I guarantee that I'm going to help them. It is a promise from Allah that Allah helps those people who work with pure intention. We understand that in a war, if we have good intention and our goal will be only Allah, and Allah will be the goal of people who have gone to the war, warriors, then we will see that Allah keeps His promise and Allah is going to help them. Second, when Allah says, وَأُخْرَى كَافِرَةٌ يَرَوْنَهُمْ مِثْلَيْهِمْ رَأْيَ الْعَيْنِ, Allah says, how did I help you? I didn't send the people over there. I didn't send the tool over there. Only I helped you in such a way that your enemy look at you and they saw you twice as many as you were. You were about 300 people, 313 according to some narrations, and they saw you twice, and by this way they were scared, they were worried, they afraid. Allah says, sometimes I am helping you, but not physically, spiritually. Only I do something that your enemy be scared and you will be brave. And be sure that whoever is brave and is supported emotionally and spiritually by God is going to win. So we understood that this is one of Allah's help, that Allah gives the fear and scaredness to the enemy, and Allah helped the Muslims to be brave people, especially in the war. Also from this war we understood that we cannot judge only by the tools that we have. The tools can be human being, can be gun, can be sword, can be money, can be position, can be place, or anything else. If Allah wants, a few people without tool are going to win. The majority are those who are much more than them and they have tools. So Allah sometimes is helping, not physically, is spiritually. Also we understood from this sentence when Allah says, وَاللَّهُ يُؤَيِّدُ بِنَصْرِهِ مَن يَشَاءُ, Allah is helping whomever He wants. We understood that although Allah in many verses of Quran says whomever He wants, but we must understand that when we say that Allah is wise, Allah is just, Allah doesn't want and doesn't play something which is not fair. Allah doesn't choose a person as an accident and give him a lot of facilities, then He will take him to the paradise. No, first we should try to obey, then Allah adds. Only Allah says, Allah whomever He wants or He pleases, because He wants to emphasize that nobody can force God to get something or to do something. And Allah doesn't want unless to help the good people. Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in tansurullah yansurkum. Here Allah says, Wallahu yu'ayyidu binasrih. Allah is helping some people, and in another verse Allah says, oh believers, if you help God, Allah is going to help. So we understood that Allah's help is coming after doing something. We are the one, first we should go to the Lord, and second Allah should help us. Then Allah says, Inna fi dhalika la'ibratan la'ulil absar. Most surely there is a lesson in these for those who have sight. In many verses of Quran, Allah is talking about the history. Allah mentions some stories, and then Allah says, Inna fi dhalika la'ibra. Indeed and surely in this is the lesson. It means you can learn it. From the lesson you will learn something. From the stories and history we should learn something. Learn something that is going to help us for the future. Especially in religious issue, which is the most important, because anybody will die after some years. and everybody is living temporary. So, since the resurrection day and judgment day and paradise or hell is permanent, so the most important things to think about such a day and such a time. So it is good to learn something for such a day. لأولي الأبصار, it means for those who have sight. Sight doesn't mean to be able to see by the eyes. Sight here, it means those who can see by their heart and understand the truth. Briefly, we have understood from this verse that Allah has promised to help those people who are working with Allah, who are working with pure intention, as Allah has helped the Muslims in the holy war of Badr. And Allah says, whomever wants to learn something from these stories will learn that the best way of having a good life and a successful one is to have a relation with God and to work only for God. Thank you very much for watching. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.